All good back there? All right, Coach, you can start us off with some opening comments.
All right, guys, welcome. Really excited to start the fall camp. All of our players reported back today. Awesome to see the smiling faces. You can tell they're ready to finally get going and playing some football. So just really good to see their energy, see their excitement. Have some personnel issues I want to discuss. Ken Webster and Dietrich Bing Dupes were arrested. We gathered all the information. I spoke with those kids and their families, and we've decided to suspend them for the first game. They're also going to have some community service, but they will be practicing with us, but they're going to serve a one-game suspension in our opening game. Also, in another unrelated matter, Octavius Cooley will not be in the 105. He has been suspended for a violation of team rules. We do expect to have him back at some point, but he will not be in the 105. Having said that, I'm really excited about getting started tonight. Really excited to see Coach Longo's offense. Shea and the receivers have been working together all summer. Really excited to see their rapport when we go out there to practice tonight. Fired up about the O-line, the depth we've built there. There's going to be some good competition battles going on. Jordan Wilkins coming back at running back. Healthy Eric Sweeney. Really excited to see all those things take place. McGriff has done a great job with building our defense. Excited to see his energy. We got some great leaders over there. Breland Speaks, Marquise Haynes. Really excited to see them step up and be leaders. So I'm fired up, excited to finally get started and get this season cranked off.
All right, raise your hand if you have a question. We'll bring a microphone to you.
Talk about the hiring of Jack Bicknell. You were kind of fortunate to find a guy of his caliber this late at date, weren't you?
I certainly was. I mean, just with my whole staff, I've been fortunate. I got 3 guys on my staff with head coaching experience. You know, Coach Longo, Coach Pivito, and Coach Bicknell all have head coaching experience. But Coach Bicknell was the WAC Coach of the Year, head coach for 8 years, been in the NFL for 7 years, you know, won a Super Bowl ring. I mean, one of my first calls was to Eli Manning. You know, so I just so excited to, you know, to see him interact with the players some today, and just really fortunate to get a coach of that caliber this late in the game. We were very fortunate.
Man, I know there's a bunch of guys missed spring practice due to injury, and I don't remember all of them. Mathis was one of them, and of course Ken Webster and Swinning knees. Everybody back healthy?
They are. We have a few minor injuries. Van Jefferson tweaked his knee. He had a minor surgery on his knee, but you know we expect a full recovery on him. Javon Patterson had a surgery done on his shoulder, but we expect him to be back. Mathis may be limited a little bit early, but he's going to be full go very soon, and then Eric Sweeney will be full go, no restrictions.
See Isaiah Willer here on the roster. Started Mike Greatshirt. Is he now being put on?
Well, he's not going to be on the 105. He may be coming in season. We have to determine that as we move forward. But, man, we're so excited about Isaiah. I mean, he's a great kid and a really good player, and he's going to have a bright future at Ole Miss. It's just we don't know it sure. He could be a gray shirt or not based on some decisions that we have to make.
Questions?
Matt, players who were in Birmingham spoke a lot about the offensive line as the strength of the offense. With you not being in the room every day, even though you like your hire, is there any change that they have to adjust to?
Well, not really. I told the guys if there's one position on this team that can handle this, it's you guys, and that they're excited about the challenge. And I've challenged those guys to extend their leadership from outside that room to the whole team. They're a bunch of guys. They've been around. They're great kids, and they do have the ability to be leaders because of their ability on the field and off the field. So you know, I expect them to take a leadership role, and I feel like that unit above anybody else can handle it.
With the arrest, what's going to be the message to your team now about, you know, staying clean off the field now that camp has officially started?
Well, you know, the message to my team was, hey, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, but when you do cross a line, there's accountability. There's a price you have to pay. We still love them. We still care about them. I think they're both great kids that made a bad mistake. But when you do make a mistake, there are going to be consequences. And I think they know there's going to be accountability.
Matt, obviously your job was mostly on offense, before the events of the last month or so. What, as you become a head coach, and the defense was obviously an issue last year, what's your focus on the defense? Why was it so bad last year, and what can you do to fix it this year?
Well, again, we're not looking toward last year. We're moving forward to this year, and just, I think, keeping it simple, where they, knowledge equals confidence equals playing fast. And that's our goal, is to keep it simple, let the kids go play hard. And, we got some ability over there. We got some guys coming back. We have some young guys that have played some football that will be better because of the experience. But I think it'll focus on keeping it simple and playing good, hard, sound, just hard-nosed football. And it just be simple.
Matt, how do you go about going from an assistant coach to a head coach in such a short turnaround like this and getting the attention of the guys?
I think you be yourself. I think I lean on all the other great head coaches that I've been around in my 18-year coaching career. I've been around some great guys. I've seen it done right. I've seen the guys have success at every level. And so you lean on the experiences that you had, and then you put your own flavor on it, because you have to be yourself. You can't be somebody that you're not. I think that's very, very important moving forward. So you take all the experiences that you've learned, and then you put your own stamp on it.
All through the off-season, Hugh talked to us about the togetherness of this team, the unity. Do you still see that in light of the changes that we've seen?
Absolutely. After all the adversity and everything that we've been through, we have a chance to be the most mentally toughest team in the country. I mean, they've been through so much, and it's just going to bring them together. And I think that's important moving forward, that is your motivation. You're playing for the guy next to you. You're playing for the guy that's wearing that jersey and walking out in that same helmet. And I think that's a huge, huge part of who we're going to be.
How's your reception been on the recruiting front from this point?
Great. I think Ole Miss sells itself. Ole Miss is a great program. People like what we've done, and they've seen us. They've seen some tangible evidence of us being really, really good. I think they're anxious to see what we do when we go on the field. And just like the fans, we got to go out there and show them what we're about. And I think they're anxious to see us. But Ole Miss sells itself. When players are here and they come visit us, they're excited. Our players sell this place. To see our players in the workouts, they're like, man, coach, these guys got unbelievable energy. And so our players sell it, and Ole Miss sells itself. We just got to go out there and then take care of business.
Questions down low? Want to take questions at the top of the room?
What is your take on disciplining the team at this time in such a sensitive moment? I mean, you spoke and said we all make mistakes and to forgive them and move on, but are you any more strict, you think, on those kind of behavior acts than Freeze was?
All I can do is do what I think is best for the team right now. And, I felt like after gathering all the information that we had, that to make sure we send a clear, concise message that, hey, if there are, if there are certain lines that are crossed, then there's going to be a consequence to be paid. And we felt like that was the best thing to do with this team.
Coach, in Birmingham, some of the players also talked about, the mentality this year is if we can't go, no one can go. How have you, jumping into this head coaching role, how have you kind of pushed that mentality forward?
I think that we have to have a blue-collar mentality. We earn everything. We earn everything we get. There's not a lot of pressure on us. People aren't giving you very much respect. So we got to take it upon ourselves to go out, play good, hard, sound, solid football, and we earn everything. And be a blue-collar, no prima donnas. We go earn everything that we get, and that's the type of team that I want to have.
Any more questions up top? Okay, we'll come back down to the bottom of the room. Chuck?
I know it's hard to predict until you see them out there with varsity players, but any freshmen you're going to have your eye on in particular?
Yeah, and I was thinking about that. I think Dede Bowie has a great skill set. He'll have an opportunity to step in the secondary early. Ryder Anderson is a guy that's kind of came in as a thin guy but has gained a bunch of weight, and I think he may He may do some things off the edge. Kadir Shepard's a guy not many people know much about because he had to sit out last year because of a transfer, but I think he's a guy that's been impressive to me. C.J. Miller maybe at safety, so a lot of young linebackers. So it'll be interesting when we get on the field. You know, maybe still a little too early to tell, but after the first day in pads, we'll know a lot more.
Have you figured out at all during practice who you're going to be with? Are you going to bounce around, stay on one side of the ball or another? Or?
Yeah, when I made the decision, to hire an offensive line coach, I made the decision to be the head coach. So I'm going to be on both sides of the field. I may not be able to help it. I may gravitate toward the O-line, maybe a little bit more, but that's just who I am. But I'm going to be on both sides of the ball, and I'm going to be encouraging. I'm going to, we're going to have energy and we're going to fly around, but I'm going to be on both sides of the ball.
Hey, Matt, there's that video that kind of went out last week of you talking to the players and you just mentioning, the sentiment. There were some people who were saying that, you just look like you were just happy to be here. Did that, frustrate you at all, that kind of narrative that was coming
No,
out?
it wasn't a frustration. I just wanted to make sure that they know that I've been preparing for this job my entire career. 14 years I've been player and a coach here, and I don't plan on going anywhere. And I just wanted to make sure that they had that message and they knew what I felt.
Matt, kind of along those lines, how difficult do you anticipate it being just emotionally, not thinking big picture about, am I doing enough to get this job for next season and that kind of thing while trying to focus on, the day-by-day stuff that you have as a head coach?
Well, I'm an emotional person, so I think that's going to be there. But, you can't get too far ahead of yourself. One practice at a time, one day at a time, one game at a time. And if we take care of that, I think the big picture will take care of itself. But I just got to make sure we stay, one practice at a time, one day at a time, one game at a time, and let the future take care of itself.
You look pretty good at corner, little thin at safety. Is there any chance Bowie or Miles Hartfield would move back to safety?
Yeah, I know they've talked about a bunch of different possibilities, and I think that's what camp's for. We'll work a bunch of different combinations and see which one works the best. But I think again, still too early to tell with some of the young guys, and just got to see how quickly they pick up the schemes and things like that. Sometimes speed of the game is tough on the young kids. Sometimes it's not. I think the practices will tell the tale there.
Matt, have you talked to any other head coaches that have made a transition into the head coaching job, maybe in a similar way to how you have since you've gotten the job?
I spoke with Barry Odom, which was similar, but mainly I've relied on Coach Cutcliffe, Coach Fulmer, Coach McIntyre, guys that are part of my coaching tree that that kind of developed part of who I am. So I've relied more on those guys.
What advice have they given you?
Be yourself. That was the biggest thing. Hey, take what you learn, but be yourself. Don't try to be somebody you're not. Be yourself. It'll be good enough. That was the advice I've gotten from everybody.
Matt, since you now are in charge of all practices and all, will you change it structurally from what's been going on maybe in recent years?
As far as structurally, no. The 95% of everything we do will be the same. It's just the 5% of my own stamp will be put on it. Maybe a little bit more inside run, maybe a little bit more, flying around with a little bit more energy, just putting my own stamp on it. But 95% of the structure of practice will be the same.
In the past with Freeze, a lot of no huddle and hurry up. Have you given any thoughts if maybe you will use some huddle this season, or are you just going full out, just the way it's been in the past?
Coach Longo, the way he goes, he goes fast, and he won't be in any huddles. So we're going to play fast, and so from that standpoint, it won't be any different. But the terminology's new, and there's a lot of different wrinkles. He utilizes the field. I mean, he's a talented guy, and I'm really excited to see him with Shea and all the receivers working together all summer. A veteran O-line. just excited to see what they do and thrive in that offense. But I don't foresee any huddles.
Matt, I know I asked you earlier, but Ken Webster, excluding the doghouse that he dug himself into, is he healthy and ready to go in the secondary?
He is, and I think he's been limited a little bit, but they've been easing him back into it, so I expect him to be out there, getting after it. And again, I think the first time where he has to go make that hit, I think getting over it mentally is probably his next hurdle.
So to follow up on that, is he possibly a safety candidate?
I think at this point, the best combination back there is trying to, and again, always trying to get the best guys on the field, whatever combination that is. I had that same approach on the offensive line. How can we get our best players on the field? And I think that's what you have to find a way to do.
Are there any more questions? Down low or up top? Okay, Chuck, one more.
Physical nature of practice, you gonna ramp it up, draw it back?
I believe in competing. I also know that you have to get your players to the game healthy. So we are going to compete good on good. We'll have 2 major scrimmages where we get after it, and there'll be some times in practice where we get after it. So we may ramp it up a little bit, but it's going to be short, quick burst of good on good where we get the speed of the game work. I think that's really, really critical. That's the only way. That's way more important than scheme, in my opinion. You got to get the good on good work to get the speed of the game, especially for these young players.
Matt, with the new sideline penalties for coaches going out on the field, who's going to be your get-back coach?
Coach Jackson. So we've already had that discussion. He's in charge of keeping me off the field. So.
All right, anything else? All right, thanks, guys. You can exit to your right, go to the grill. We'll do interviews with players, assistant coaches.
It's going up in here last time.